My name is Mark, and I'm a priest. The bishop told me to go to the ruins of St. Helena's Indian boarding school in Montana. He looked at me with tired eyes and said only one thing. Go and see. Bring me the truth. I could not refuse. People in Helena whispered about the place for years. They said the halls were not empty, not really. The children's voices still echoed after midnight, that the bell in the broken tower rang though it had been silent for decades. I heard their trembling confessions. I saw the fear they carried. They believed something still lived inside those walls. I drove out late, the town falling behind me, swallowed by darkness. Montana stretched wide and empty under a black sky. No houses, no lights. Only the endless road and the wind scraping through dead trees. Every mile closer, the weight in my chest grew heavier, as if something already waited for me. I carried little, a crucifix, a Bible, and a flashlight that felt too weak in my hand. The gate stood rusted, bent to one side. Above it, the old sign hung crooked, but I could still read the words, St. Helena's Indian Boarding School. I touched the gate and pushed. The metal screamed. The sound rang out into the night, too loud as if daring something to answer. Nothing did, only the wind. The main building loomed ahead, 3 stories of black brick, windows shattered, the tower leaning, broken at the top like a snapped neck. My breath fogged in the cold, though October nights in Montana had never felt this sharp. The smell hung in the air, not just dust but something metallic, faint like iron, like blood. The doors were chained, rust eating through the links, but someone had pried a gap wide enough to slip through. I pushed inside. My light cut across peeling walls and warped floors. A crucifix still hung above the entry, but the wood was split. Christ's face cracked in 2. His eyes were gone. I whispered under my breath, Lord, protect me. My voice sounded thin. The darkness swallowed it whole. The corridor stretched long before me, each step groaning. My echoes followed me, too many for one man's feet. Classrooms lay open, doors hanging crooked. I swept the beam across one. On the chalkboard, faint but clear, a single word remained. Silence. My skin prickled. The air pressed against me, heavy and watchful. The dark was not empty. It leaned closer, listening. I reached the chapel. The doors gaped wide as if waiting. Inside, pews lay broken, overturned. Torn pages littered the floor. The altar stood cracked. Above it, stained glass had shattered long ago, jagged moonlight bleeding through the holes. I stepped down the aisle. The silence here was alive. It breathed against me, cold on my neck, heavy in my chest. My hand touched the altar. The wood was colder than stone. My light flickered, hissed, then steadied. A sound broke the stillness, a laugh, not a word, not a cry, but the sharp, high laugh of a child. It came from behind the altar. I raised the light. Who's there? My voice cracked in the empty chapel. The beam landed on nothing, only torn pages shifting where no breeze should be. The laugh vanished. I forced the words from my throat, louder this time. Show yourself. My light shook in my hand. The silence bent around me. Then I heard it. Footsteps, small, quick. They tapped across the boards behind me. I spun. The aisle was empty. Shadows leaned across the pews. My heart slammed against my ribs. The sound came again. Above, the bell. It rang deep and heavy, rolling down through the broken tower, though I knew it had been shattered for decades. The sound filled my chest, rattling the torn Bible across the altar. It rang again, louder, shaking the chapel walls. I clutched the crucifix tight in my hand. The third toll fell, booming through the dark. Midnight had come. The echo of the bell still rattled inside my ribs as I left the chapel. Every part of me wanted to walk back to the gate, to the car, to the road, but my legs carried me deeper into the school. The corridor yawned wide, lined with open doors, each like a black mouth waiting to swallow me. My light swept left and right, catching fragments of life abandoned long ago. A crucifix snapped in half, a single child's shoe, a rosary broken into beads scattered across the floor. The smell had changed, less dust now, more sour, a wet rot rising from the wood itself, as if the building still exhaled its own decay. I stopped at the dormitory. The doors sagged on rusted hinges. I pushed them open with my shoulder, and the beam cut across rows of iron beds, thin frames bent with time, mattresses gone, only coils of wire sticking through like teeth. I stepped inside. The air was colder here, sharp enough to sting my skin. My boots scraped the dust and the sound seemed to die before reaching the walls. I swept the light across the room. For an instant, I saw shapes sitting on the beds, small figures still as stone. My breath froze. I blinked. The light steadied and the beds were empty, shadows only. I moved forward, weaving between frames. Each step groaned. Each breath hung in front of me like smoke. At the far end, near the boarded windows, something shifted. A dragging sound, soft, quick, like fabric sliding across wood. My hand tightened on the flashlight. I lifted it, beam shaking. A shadow darted behind the last row. My throat went dry. The light landed on dust only, hanging in the air like mist. Then I heard them. Whispers, thin and high, voices layered one over another, floating across the dormitory like wind through dead grass. I froze. My pulse thudded hard in my ears. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, but too tangled to understand. I turned in a circle, the light swinging across empty beds. And nothing. Still the voices pressed closer. Then, clear, soft as a lullaby, the words formed. Play with us. The sound chilled the marrow in my bones. I gripped the crucifix and forced words out. Leave me, in the name of Christ, leave me. For a moment, silence fell. Thick, crushing. My ears rang in it, then laughter broke open, shrill and sharp, a chorus bouncing between the beds. A high laugh here, another there, racing circles around me. Who's there? I shouted, my voice shaking, my throat dry. The laughter scattered and stopped. My light caught the far wall. Scratched deep into plaster were dozens of lines, carved by small desperate hands. Marks piled on marks, endless counting. Above them, gouged deeper than the rest, one word. Pray. My chest tightened. The sound of quick footsteps skittered behind me, dozens of them running across the boards. I spun, light jerking, empty beds. Silence again. My heart hammered. Then a voice, right beside my ear, a child's whisper, soft as breath. Pray with us. I stumbled, nearly dropping the light. Show yourself, I shouted. But the only answer was another burst of high laughter, darting from corner to corner. Panic rose. I ran from the dormitory, boots slamming the warped floor, the door slamming back against the wall as I tore into the corridor. My breath heaved in my chest. The darkness closed again, swallowing every sound. Another door waited ahead, darker, warped by age. I shoved it open with the heel of my hand. The smell hit me instantly. Mildew, damp wood, and underneath, copper sharp as blood. Inside, another classroom, desks overturned, books shredded across the floor. Chalk dust clung to the air. My light swept across the blackboard, and I froze. Written across it, white and fresh as if drawn minutes ago, do not speak. My lips parted, but no sound came. Then, close to my ear, a child's voice whispered the same words. Do not speak. I staggered back, nearly falling over a broken desk. My crucifix felt heavy against my chest, pulling me down. I backed out into the hall. My heart pounded so loud it filled the silence. At the far end, a set of double doors waited, larger than the rest, cracked open. Beyond them, only blackness. The air that seeped through carried a smell of earth and rust, old and buried. Stairs waited there. The basement. I lifted the light. My hand shook. The beam cut a narrow path into the dark, swallowed almost immediately. The air that drifted out was colder than anything above, cold enough to burn. I swallowed hard. My legs trembled, but I moved. The voices had gone silent, but the silence was worse. I knew they were waiting below. I could feel them. The bell tolled again, louder, heavier. The walls shivered with it. I stepped down into the dark. The stairs groaned as I went down, each step carrying me deeper into the cold. My light swept across stone walls, wet and cracked, dust spinning like ash in the beam. The air grew heavier with every breath. It was damp, sour, sharp with the smell of metal. My boots crunched on the ground, and when I looked down, I froze. Not dirt, small bones scattered like fragments of chalk. My throat closed. I whispered, "Our Father in heaven, protect me." The words fell flat, smothered by the silence. At the bottom, a wooden door leaned half open. I pushed it, the hinges whining. Inside was a small office. Shelves sagged with rotting books. Papers lay shredded across the desk. In the middle, untouched by time, sat a single leather book. Dark cover, edges worn but intact as if preserved. Cold pressed through my palm as I lifted it. The first page carried a name written in ink. Sister Nancy. Below it, words etched sharp and deliberate, rules for the children. I turned the page. The first rule read, "When the bell tolls at midnight, every child must pray together. No voice may be silent." As I whispered the line, the memory of the bell still echoed in my chest. The second rule, "No child may speak their native tongue inside these walls. Any voice that breaks this command will be silenced." The word silenced seemed darker on the page, ink heavier, almost wet. My lips moved without meaning to. "The tongue will be silenced." A laugh drifted across the room, faint, thin, a child trying to stifle it. My skin crawled. The third rule. When the sisters in black veils appear, the children must close their eyes and bow. To look upon them is to invite punishment. My light flickered. For a second, the corner of the room darkened deeper than shadow. I swore I saw a shape there, a veil hanging. I blinked. The corner was empty. The fourth rule. After 3 a.m, silence must remain in the dormitory. Any sound will be taken away. I imagined the beds upstairs, the whispers, the laughter. My chest grew heavy. The fifth rule. If a child disappears, no one is permitted to ask why. No one is permitted to search. The words caught in my throat. I whispered them anyway. No one is permitted to search. Dozens of voices whispered it back, all around me, in unison. My breath seized. I whipped the light across the shelves, the walls, the desk. Nothing. Still the voices repeated, "No one is permitted to search." I slammed the book shut. The sound cracked sharp, and the whispers stopped. For a moment I thought it was over. Then laughter filled the office, high, shrill. Dozens of children laughing at once, overlapping until it scraped inside my head. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice breaking. The laughter died instantly. Silence slammed back. My hand shook. I forced the book open again, but the pages were no longer the same. The ink bled, words smeared, melting into one another. Only one line stood clear, written fresh, dark, alive. "Play with us." I staggered back. This is not possible. My voice cracked in the empty office. The book slid from my hands and struck the floor. The sound echoed too long, bouncing back as though the hall itself repeated it. Laughter returned, softer now, muffled, as if the walls themselves were giggling. I bent down, snatched the book, and clutched it tight. The leather throbbed cold against my chest. The whispers circled me again. "Pray with us. Play with us. Stay with us." I stumbled from the office, flashlight jerking in my grip. My boots hit the floor hard, breath tearing from my chest. Behind me, footsteps skittered, dozens of them, small, quick, chasing me down the hall. I turned once, light flashing, nothing. Still the sound followed. The corridor widened. The floor sagged black with damp. My light swung across the far wall, and my stomach lurched. Handprints, hundreds of them, small, pressed into the stone, stained dark, smeared in streaks that reached upward like children clawing to escape. The whispers rose higher, louder. The chant twisted into a single phrase, over and over. Play with us, play with us, play with us. I dropped to my knees, crucifix raised, voice tearing out raw. In the name of Christ, leave me. The words cracked through the air. The chant fell silent. My ears roared with the sudden weight of it. Then came a new sound. From the far end of the hall, a knock, slow, heavy, 3 times, wood against stone. I raised the light. The darkness ahead was too thick, too deep. The book in my arms trembled as though something inside pressed to get out. The bell tolled again, deep, furious. The walls shuddered with it. The echo of the bell rolled through the basement like thunder. My hands clutched the leather book, the rules of Sister Nancy still burning in my head. I remembered the first one. When the bell tolls at midnight, every child must pray together, no voice silent. My lips had stayed shut. My voice had not joined them. I had broken it. At first nothing moved. The silence pressed heavy. Then it began. Voices rose from the floorboards, thin and high, dozens of them, chanting words that twisted into something almost familiar. It was prayer, but bent, broken, turned inside out. The cadence mocked every holy rhythm I knew. The air vibrated with it, sharp and jagged, like glass scraping bone. The chant swelled louder, surrounding me, pressing from every side. I tried to pray, but the words stuck in my throat. I forced them out, shaky and weak. Our Father in heaven, protect me. The sound of my voice drowned instantly under the rising chorus. It grew stronger, harsher, until I fell silent. The moment I stopped, the children stopped too. The silence that followed was worse. My ears rang with it. Then a single voice whispered right beside me, close enough to feel the breath. You did not pray. I spun, light flaring across the wall. Empty stone. My chest hammered. Another voice answered behind me, softer, playful. Now you play. The shadows moved as one. Figures darted across the far end of the hall, small and fast. My light caught glimpses, thin legs, pale arms, faces blurred in the dark. Children, dozens of them, darting and vanishing. Footsteps skittered along the boards, circling me. The whisper grew louder. Layered voices overlapping. Play with us. Play with us. The book slipped from my hands and hit the ground with a heavy thud. The sound echoed sharp in the silence. Laughter followed. High, shrill, scattered, bouncing across the corridor like stones skipping water. My breath caught. I ran. My boots slammed the floor, flashlight beam jerking wild across stone. The laughter chased me, circling closer with every step. Find us! Find us! They cried, voices sharp with glee. The corridor opened into another dormitory. Rows of iron beds stretched to the walls. Shadows crouching on every frame. I froze. The laughter filled the room, circling me, closing in. My throat burned as I shouted, "Show yourselves!" The answer came instantly. Every bed creaked at once. Dozens of small shapes sat upright in unison. My light swept across them. Children, skin gray and cracked, eyes hollow pits, mouths stretched too wide. They sat still, heads tilted, staring at me. One boy stood at the front. His hair covered his eyes, his grin sharp and crooked. He tilted his head. His voice was soft, sweet, wrong. Your turn. The light flickered. The children vanished. Empty beds. The boy's voice echoed again, distant this time. Find us. Laughter erupted all around, darting corner to corner. I turned in circles, light swinging. My breath ragged. The game had begun. Hide and seek. I forced the words out, voice shaking. "This is not real," a girl's voice answered, soft and sharp, right behind my ear. "It is real if you play." I whipped the light across the room. The beam landed under a bed. A figure crouched there, knees pulled to its chest. My heart hammered. I stepped closer, slow, careful. The figure lifted its head. The face was pale, veins black and broken across the skin. Eyes too wide. The mouth opened and a scream tore out. Not a human scream. The sound of drowning, lungs choking with water. I staggered back, choking on the sound. Another bed rattled. Another figure pulled up. It screamed different, bones snapping, sharp and brutal. Then another, shrieking with the wet gargle of blood. Each scream carried a death. Each scream carried pain. The boy's voice cut through them. "Keep looking. Find us all." My knees weakened. My light shook so hard it nearly fell. I raised the crucifix, voice breaking into the air. "In the name of Christ, release me." The screams cut off. The laughter stopped. For a heartbeat, silence pressed down heavy. Then the bell rang again, louder, angrier. It rolled through the room, rattling the iron beds, shuddering through the floorboards. The torn book on the ground trembled, pages fluttering as if caught in a storm. The boy's voice whispered, soft, almost kind. "You didn't pray. Now you play." Cold rushed against me. Tiny hands brushed my arms, my legs. Shadows swarmed in the dark. The laughter rose again, sharper this time, stabbing at my ears. I backed against the wall, crucifix raised, flashlight flickering weak in my hand. My heart slammed so hard I thought it would burst. The beam sputtered once, twice, then it died. The darkness swallowed me whole. The dark pressed against me, thick as stone. My flashlight was dead. I gripped the crucifix with both hands, whispering through clenched teeth, "Our Father in heaven, protect me." The silence mocked me. Then the laughter started again, high, sharp, darting from corner to corner. Children's voices. "Find us! Find us!" A weak glow sputtered in the beam as the flashlight flickered back to life. The room swam into view. Beds stood crooked, shadows stretched long. I turned in a slow circle. My heart thudded so hard it shook my vision. A whisper came, soft, close to my ear. "Your turn." I swallowed, voice raw. "What do you want from me?" The answer came from every side at once. "Play with us." The game had rules. I knew it in my bones. Hide and seek. Find them or be taken. My light swung across the beds. Dust floated in the air like ash. At the far corner beneath a frame bent to the floor, a shape crouched, small, still. I crept closer. My hand shook so bad the light jumped across the wall. The figure shifted. A boy. His knees drawn tight to his chest, his head lifted, his mouth opened wide. The scream that burst out was not human. It was the sound of chains dragging across stone, iron biting into flesh. My stomach lurched. I staggered back, but the scream followed, filling my head. My ears rang, then silence. The bed was empty. The dust settled. The laughter came again, sharper now, closer. "Find us. Keep looking." I turned, light swinging wild. Another bed rattled. I aimed the beam low. A girl knelt there, hair tangled across her face. She lifted her head. Her eyes were gone, hollow sockets dripping dark down her cheeks. She smiled. A whisper slipped from her broken mouth. "Help me!" Then her body jerked, twisted, bones snapping like brittle sticks. The sound echoed through the dormitory. I gagged, bile rising in my throat. I stumbled away, tripping over a coil of wire, catching myself on a rusted frame. My voice broke. "Lord, deliver me." The laughter rose, overlapping, circling. Too slow, too slow. I ran to the next row, light shaking. Something moved under a bed. I dropped to my knees and shined the beam. Another boy crouched there. His lips were sewn shut with black thread. stitches crude, flesh torn, his hands clawed at his face, trying to tear the thread free. Blood trickled down his chin. He reached toward me, fingers bone-thin, trembling. The muffled cry in his throat rattled like glass. My breath caught. I pulled back, voice cracking. God, forgive them. The bed was empty. The room felt smaller now, closing in. My chest burned with every breath. The whispers circled faster. Find us all. My legs shook as I moved to the last row, my light cut under the final bed. A girl sat there, calm, hands folded in her lap. Her dress was white, stained dark around the hem. She looked up at me with wide eyes, unblinking. For a moment she seemed almost human, almost alive. Then she opened her mouth. A river of water poured out, gushing across her lap, soaking the floorboards black. She choked, drowning though no water should exist here. Her voice bubbled through it, warped, broken. Stay with us. The water vanished. The bed was empty. The laughter exploded, dozens of voices screaming joy at once. You found us! You found us! I clutched the crucifix so hard it cut into my palm. My knees gave way, and I dropped to the floor, whispering desperate, In the name of Christ, set me free. The voices stopped. Silence crashed down, heavy, final. My breath shook, my vision blurred with tears. I thought for one moment it was over. Then the boy's voice returned, clear and sharp, right behind me. Not all of us. The air turned cold. My light sputtered. A shadow darted across the far wall, small and fast. Another giggle. Closer this time, another whisper. Keep looking. I stood, legs trembling, flashlight beam swinging wide. Every bed seemed to shift. Every shadow seemed to move. My chest heaved. The bell tolled above. The sound boomed through the walls, rattling the dormitory. Dust fell from the ceiling. My head rang with it. The children's voices rose together in one final chant, sharp and playful. Now it is your turn to hide. My light cut out. Darkness swallowed me again. The darkness clung to me after the game. My body shook, my chest raw from breathing too hard. I pushed forward, out of the dormitory, down the corridor that twisted back toward the chapel. The bell still rang in my skull. My flashlight flickered once, then steadied. Dust swirled in the beam like ash falling from a fire that never ended. The doors to the chapel stood wide. They had been waiting. I stepped inside. The air was thicker here, heavier, charged with something that pressed against my lungs. The pews lay scattered, overturned like bodies. The broken stained glass spilled jagged moonlight across the floor. And then I heard it. Voices, dozens of them, small and high. Not laughter now, not whispers, but song. They sang in rhythm, slow, deliberate. My breath caught. It was a hymn. I knew the words, but their voices bent them into something hollow and cruel. Each line cracked like broken glass, each note cut like a blade. I froze at the back of the chapel. My light swept forward. Children stood in rows between the pews. Dozens of them, skin gray and thin, eyes black pits, mouths stretched wide. They swayed together, their small voices pouring into the hymn. One girl stood in the front row. Her dress hung stained and torn, her hair tangled across her face. She lifted her chin. Her voice rose louder than the rest. Pray with us. My heart pounded. I clutched the crucifix, voice trembling. Lord, give me strength. The children turned their heads toward me in unison. Their song stopped. Silence fell heavy enough to crush my chest. The girl's mouth curled into a smile. Pray. I shook my head, breath sharp. I will not. The chapel shook. The stained glass rattled in the frames. The hymn burst alive again, louder, harsher. The children opened their mouths wide, too wide, the sound tearing from their throats like something alive. My ears rang. I fell to my knees, covering them, but the hymn kept climbing. The girl stepped forward, eyes locked on me. Her voice broke free of the chant, sharp and demanding. Pray with us. The others joined her, voices stacking, crushing me. Pray with us. Pray with us. I pressed the crucifix to my forehead, shouting over the sound, Our Father in heaven, deliver me. The hymn faltered for a second, one beat of silence, then erupted stronger than before. I gasped. My body shook. I realized the rule from the book. After midnight, when the bell tolls, all must pray together. I had broken it, and now they would not let me go until I obeyed. The girl raised her arms. Pages of torn hymnals floated from the altar, lifted by a wind that came from nowhere. They circled the room like black leaves, each one burning at the edges. The words glowed red across the paper. Pray. I shouted again, desperate. I will not pray with the dead! The children screamed in unison. A single sharp note that rattled the rafters. The pews shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. My light blinked, sputtered. Then the hymn shifted. Slower. Darker. The voices bent the prayer into something else, a chant, not meant for human ears. My skin crawled as the words slid over me. The girl reached out her hand. Kneel. I backed away, stumbling over a broken pew. My body felt heavy, pulled down, as if invisible hands pressed on my shoulders. My knees buckled. I collapsed to the floor. The children closed in, circling me. Their mouths opened wide, pouring the hymn into my face. Their eyes glowed faint, red, and wet. I clutched the crucifix with both hands, tears stinging my eyes. My voice cracked. Our Father in heaven, forgive me. The hymn faltered. The children froze. For one heartbeat, silence returned. Their mouths hung open, song caught in their throats. Then they screamed. Every voice, every child shrieking at once. The sound shredded the air. My light burst, the bulb popping, leaving me blind. The glow of moonlight fractured across broken glass was all I could see. Hands grabbed me, cold, thin, dozens of them. They pushed me back, pulled me forward, dragged me into the aisle. The hymn started again, twisted louder than before, breaking bones in its rhythm. The girl bent low to my ear. Her whisper cut sharper than the scream. You prayed too late. The bell tolled again, booming through the chapel, shaking dust from the rafters. The circle of children pressed closer. And the song swallowed me. The hymn tore through me until I thought my bones would crack. Then, as sudden as it had begun, it stopped. The silence was worse. Dozens of eyes stared at me, empty pits glowing faint with red. Cold hands gripped my arms, my legs, my chest. They did not feel like flesh. They felt like ice and smoke. I was dragged down the aisle, through the broken chapel doors, into the black corridor beyond. My boots scraped the wood, leaving streaks in the dust. I tried to fight, but there was nothing to fight against. Invisible fingers dug into me, pulling me toward the stairwell. Downward, always downward. The air grew colder with each step. My breath came in clouds. The book of rules pressed against my ribs where I had shoved it under my coat. It felt alive, thumping faint, like a second heart. The stairs ended in stone. The basement stretched wide and endless, walls wet and black. Shadows moved in the corners, darting like insects. My flashlight flickered weak in my hand, its beam a narrow blade. Then I saw him. A boy stood at the far end of the hall, still, waiting. His head tilted low, hair hanging into his eyes. His skin was pale, veins dark like cracks spreading beneath it. When he raised his face, my stomach clenched. His mouth stretched too wide, lips blackened, teeth sharp as broken glass. He spoke, voice thin, bending like metal. The tongue will be silenced. The words scraped the walls, echoing. I froze, my throat dry. He stepped forward. His eyes locked on mine, hollow and endless. His voice rose again, louder this time. The tongue will be silenced. The book in my coat burned cold. The second rule, spoken back to me. I shook my head, forcing words out. You are not real. The boy's neck snapped to one side, sharp, unnatural. His smile widened. No one is permitted to search. Another rule. My breath faltered. The whispers swelled behind me, dozens of voices repeating with him. No one is permitted to search. No one is permitted to search, I shouted, desperate, voice raw. Stop! The echoes died. Silence slammed into the hall. The boy tilted his head further. His voice broke the stillness again, sharper than before. When the sisters appear, you must close your eyes. You did not close them. My chest tightened, my knees weakened. I remembered the shadow in the corner of the office. The veil. I had looked. I had broken that rule too. The boy stepped closer. The sound of bare feet tapping against stone, his voice bent, broken, rising higher. You broke them all! You broke them all! I stumbled back, holding the crucifix high. Our Father in heaven, shield me! The boy's laugh burst sharp, like glass splintering. He dropped to his knees, hands pressed flat to the floor. The stone groaned. Cracks split across it, racing outward like veins. Darkness welled up through them, thick and black, crawling like oil. The whispers returned, not scattered now, but one voice, one sound, every child speaking as one. Play with us, pray with us, stay with us. The cracks widened, the floor sagged, my light flickered, sputtered. I staggered back, nearly falling. The boy, Tyler, I knew his name though I'd never heard it before, lifted his face again. His eyes burned faint red, his words cut the air. After 3 a.m, silence must remain. You made noise. The clock in my head screamed. It was past 3. The rule had found me. The voices swelled, chanting, silence, silence, silence. Hands burst from the cracks, small hands, pale, clawing at the air. They reached for me, grabbing my boots, my legs, dragging me down. I kicked, I fought, screaming. In the name of Christ, let me go. The boy only smiled, his mouth stretched too wide, skin tearing at the corners. You are ours now. The cracks spread under me. The ground gave way. I fell to my knees, caught in the swarm of hands pulling me down. The crucifix burned in my grip, searing hot. I pressed it to my chest, eyes squeezed shut. The chanting roared, shaking the walls. Silence, silence, silence. I screamed until my throat tore. The hands pulled harder. Cold swallowed my legs, my waist, my chest. And then, all at once, the noise stopped. The hands vanished. The cracks closed. The stone floor was whole again. I gasped, shaking, sprawled on the cold ground. I raised my light with trembling hands. The basement stretched empty. No boy, no shadows, only the echo of my breath. But the book under my coat throbbed once more, harder this time, alive and faint from the far end of the hall. Tyler's voice whispered again, "You broke them all." The bell tolled above. The sound rattled through the walls, and the darkness leaned closer. The basement air pressed heavier than stone. My breath came in ragged clouds, each one tasting of rust. The echo of Tyler's voice still rang in my skull. "You broke them all!" I forced myself to stand, gripping the crucifix with a trembling hand, the other clenching my weak flashlight. The beam stuttered across the hall, sliding over dark walls slick with damp. Then I saw it. Against the far wall stood a shovel, rusted, its handle cracked but upright, as if waiting. My stomach dropped. I didn't touch it, but the voices whispered anyway, soft and sweet, wrapping around me. "Dig, dig, find us." I shook my head hard. "No, I will not." The voices grew louder, overlapping, pressing in. "Dig, dig." The sound circled me, filling my ears until it felt like the command had already entered my bones. My hand moved on its own, reaching for the shovel. The wood was icy, biting against my palm. The floorboards ahead groaned, cracking open into soft earth. A patch of dirt stretched in the middle of the basement, darker than the rest. My chest heaved. I knew the game. I was meant to dig. I lifted the shovel. My voice cracked into the dark. "Lord, Forgive me for this. The first strike sank deep, dirt giving way with a wet crunch. The sound echoed sharp, too sharp. I dragged the shovel up. The earth was black, soaked, sticking to the blade. The whispers purred. Good. Again. I struck again, and again, each scoop heavier than the last, the air growing colder with every hole I carved into the ground. My arms ached, sweat chilled against my skin, but I could not stop. The voices praised me with every strike. Yes, dig, find us. Then the shovel hit something hard. A dull thud. I froze, chest tight. Slowly, I scraped the dirt away. My light shook as it revealed wood. A small box, old and rotted, buried shallow. My throat closed. I dropped to my knees and clawed the earth aside with my bare hands. The whispers hissed, eager now. Open it! Open it! I pulled the box free. The wood crumbled, brittle and damp. I forced the lid open. Inside lay a bundle of cloth, black and stiff. My hands trembled as I peeled it back. Bones, small bones, wrapped in a tattered fragment of a child's dress. I gasped, recoiling. The bones clattered as if alive. A skull rolled free, jaws open in a silent scream. My stomach turned. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. The whispers sharpened, no longer sweet but hungry. Stay with us, stay with us. The box splintered apart in my hands. The bones spilled onto the dirt, rattling like teeth across stone. Then, impossibly, they began to move. Tiny hands of bone crawled toward me, fingers clawing. I scrambled back, light swinging wild. A child's voice broke from the dark, clear and sharp. That was my treasure. My blood froze. I swung the light. A figure stood where the dirt pit yawned open. A girl in a white dress, soaked black at the hem. Her eyes were hollow pits. Her voice was steady. You took it. Now you stay. I stumbled up, raising the crucifix. My voice cracked. Our Father in heaven, protect me. The girl tilted her head. Her smile widened, teeth too sharp. Pray louder. We cannot hear you. The bones rattled faster, crawling over the dirt, small jaws clacking open and shut. They pressed against my boots, pulling at me. I kicked, stumbled, fell against the wall. My light flickered, beam stuttering. Another voice joined hers, thin and playful. More boxes, more treasures, keep digging. The dirt sagged. More wooden corners broke through the earth. Dozens of small boxes lined beneath the ground, waiting. My throat closed. My heart slammed against my ribs. The girl stepped closer, her feet leaving wet marks on the stone. Open them, all of them, I shouted back, voice raw, shaking the walls. I will not, leave me. The children screamed in unison, dozens of voices tearing through the basement. The boxes burst open one by one, bones spilled out, skulls rolling, empty eyes staring. The air filled with the sound of rattling, clattering, scraping like 1,000 teeth grinding. I pressed the crucifix to my chest, sobbing. In the name of Christ, release me. The noise stopped. Every bone froze in place. The basement fell silent except for my gasping breath. I shook, kneeling in the dirt, staring at the remains scattered around me. Then the girl's voice whispered again, softer this time, right behind my ear. You dug too deep. The ground shifted. The dirt beneath me caved. Cold hands burst upward, dozens of them clawing at my arms, dragging me down into the pit of bones. My light fell, beam rolling across empty sockets staring back at me. The bell tolled above, shattering the silence, and the earth swallowed me. The ground gave way beneath me, and I fell into blackness. Bones scraped against my arms, cold hands clawing my chest. I screamed, kicking, pulling free, dragging myself up through dirt and dust. My flashlight lay broken, useless. Only the crucifix burned in my hand, its edges cut in my palm. I stumbled back into the hall, gasping, covered in soil. The whispers chased me, circling my head. You dug too deep. Stay with us. Stay. I ran. My boots slammed the stone, lungs tearing, heart pounding. The corridor twisted, pulling me back toward the chapel. The voices grew louder with every step. I shoved through the doors and collapsed inside. The chapel had changed. It was alive. Flames licked the walls, climbing high, though no fire had touched the wood. The broken glass glowed red. The altar cracked down the middle, bleeding smoke. The pews writhed, bending like ribs closing in. Children stood in rows, dozens of them, their bodies pale and broken, their eyes black voids. They swayed in unison, mouths opening. A scream poured out, layered, endless. The sound rattled my skull until I thought it would split. I forced myself to my feet, crucifix raised high. My throat ripped open as I shouted, "In the name of Christ, leave me!" The flames roared higher, wrapping the ceiling in fire. The children laughed shrill and sharp, circling me. One voice cut above the rest, steady and cruel. "You prayed too late." They surged forward, hands reaching, cold fingers clawing. I swung the crucifix, my voice breaking. "Our Father in heaven, deliver me from evil." The air shuddered. The ground split. Light burst from the cross, a blinding flare. The children screamed, covering their faces, their skin cracking under the glow. Smoke poured from their mouths, but the fire only fed on it. Climbing higher, brighter. The rafters split. Burning beams crashed to the floor. The circle closed again. The children's chant rose, sharp and mocking. "Pray with us! Pray with us!" I staggered, coughing in the smoke. My knees buckled. My body shook. The book under my coat throbbed cold, pressing against my ribs, fighting the crucifix in my hands. I tore it free, holding it up. The leather burned like ice. The pages flapped open on their own. The rules written in fresh ink, bleeding words. The last line glowed red across the paper. "If one breaks the law, he must stay forever." My stomach twisted. My voice cracked. "I will not stay!" The children shrieked, their chants splitting into laughter. "Forever! Forever!" The flames swallowed the altar. Smoke filled my lungs. I dropped to my knees, clutching both crucifix and book. My tears seared my face. I cried out with the last of my strength. "Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Deliver me, deliver me." The chapel exploded with light. The crucifix seared white in my hands. The book tore itself apart, pages flying, burning midair. The children screamed, high and piercing, bodies twisting, bursting into ash. Their laughter broke into shrieks of pain. The fire howled, a storm inside stone walls. One boy stood in the center of it all, Tyler. His grin stretched wide, eyes burning red. His voice was a growl and a laugh. "You broke them all. You cannot leave." I staggered toward him, crucifix raised, voice raw. "Christ is my shield." The light flared brighter, searing through the smoke. Tyler's body cracked, light tearing through him. He screamed, shrill and endless, his voice breaking into hundreds of smaller cries. The other children collapsed around him, their voices torn from their throats. The fire roared higher. The roof split. The tower bell shook free and crashed to the floor, ringing once, a sound that split the world. I fell back, clutching the cross, blinded by the blaze. My ears rang with the screams. My chest ached with every breath. The last thing I saw was Tyler reaching for me, his body breaking apart in fire, his mouth still moving, whispering through the chaos. "Play with us." Then the flames swallowed everything. The fire swallowed me whole. I felt the heat scorch my skin, the smoke fill my lungs, the screams of children tear the air apart. The crucifix burned white in my hand. Then there was nothing. No fire, no screams, no pain. I opened my eyes. I was lying on the cold stone floor of my parish church. Morning light spilled through stained glass, soft and gold, painting the pews in calm colors. My chest rose and fell, my heart racing, my throat raw. I sat up, gasping. The silence was clean, pure. No whispers, no laughter. I laughed, weak and broken. Relief rushed through me. It was a dream, I whispered. My voice trembled. God, it was only a dream. I staggered to my feet, clutching the crucifix still tight in my hand. My clothes were whole. No ash, no dirt, no blood. The church smelled of candle wax and incense, nothing more. I closed my eyes, tears slipping free. The nightmare was over. I turned toward the door, ready to leave this weight behind. That was when I saw him. Father James stood in the aisle, waiting with calm eyes. He was old, gentle, hands folded behind his back. His voice was low. "A letter came for you, Mark." My chest tightened. I nodded slowly. "A letter?" He stepped closer, placing an envelope in my hand. White paper. My same written across the front in black ink. The letters were neat but too sharp, too careful, like a child trying to imitate an adult's hand. I looked up at him. "Who brought this?" James only shook his head. It was left at the door. My fingers trembled as I broke the seal. The paper inside crackled. I unfolded it slowly, breath caught in my throat. Only 4 words were written there, scrawled in uneven, jagged strokes. "Play with us." The sound of children's laughter broke faint in the distance, just enough to hear, just enough to freeze my blood. And then the silence returned.